Hey guys, it's me again, Stephanie from ideclarethatwar.com, and I'm just coming to you today for a video about watch this video before you pay for a job. I know a lot of times, people they want to work from home and they're like, why should I pay for a job? I should never have to pay for a job. I agree, but let me tell you something. As I said before in previous videos, I've worked from home or had home-based businesses or freelanced, you name it, part-time from home for, the past 15 years. And I've worked full-time jobs. I've worked contracting for federal government agencies. I've worked from home full-time, self-employed. I've also worked from home in an actual work from home job. And what I can tell you is no matter whether you have a job where you have to physically go into the office every day, whether you work from home, whether you have a home-based businesses, whether you're doing an internship, no matter how you get your money, it's going to cost. Now, there are ways that you can use other people's money, but it's going to cost some money. Even employers, when they're out putting out those job ads and they're doing their recruiting and then they select you, they give you an offer letter. There's money involved in all of that. Money that goes into training you, and they know their numbers. They know if their position is a high turnover position, and they know how much it costs them for each employee that comes in and each employee that leaves. So even your employer is investing money in you, and you should too. And I just wanted to break it down how, like I said, no matter whether you decide, to physically go into a work, whether you want to work at home job, you work exclusively from home, whether you want to start your own business, whether you want to do a home-based business, affiliate program, whatever it is, you name it, it's going to cost money. So I'm just going to go back, years ago. This was working a job. So if you think about it, there's people that pay $100 to $150 for someone to do their resume, right? To do their resume, and especially if they're trying to get into a government job, they invest that money to get a resume that's going to get response so they can get that interview. So then, you're all excited because, oh, they called me or they emailed me for that interview. And now guess what? You have to get to that interview. So that's going to cost you gas or, a bus or train fare to get to that interview, right? So you're sitting around, you're waiting, and, you may go on multiple interviews for multiple jobs. So, each time you do that, that's more gas, train, bus, fare, however it is that you're going to get to that interview. So then, you get the call or the email that you got the job, Well, let me rewind really quick, because a lot of times you may have to buy a outfit for this interview, because you want to look your best. Looks, that first impression is everything. So you may spend, $50 to $100 on a suit if you don't already have it in your closet. So then, like I said, you get excited, you get your offer letter, and they're like, oh, you're going to make this and that amount a year. And you're like, okay, cool. If you throw kids into the mix, you have to pay child care in order for you to get to that job. And every child care that I've ever used, a majority of them, they want 2 weeks upfront child care. 2 weeks. And it was, easily, I remember it was like, 1,000. And I mean, I was able to negotiate it where I never paid 2 weeks up front, but I told them I would pay them Monday in advance for the week. But still, that could be 500 to 700 a week. And, that was back then. I don't even want to think about what daycare is now. But I'm just giving you an example from my personal life. But, a lot of childcare providers, they want 2 weeks of childcare in advance. So let's say you didn't have a job prior to getting this job, and now you have these expenses of a resume, gas and transportation to the interview, um, the clothes for the interview, and you got to come up with this money for daycare. So you might be borrowing from friends and family or whatever. And that's where I said you're using someone else's money and you're promising them, hey, I'll pay you back, once I get my first paycheck. But, just adding up what we've talked about so far, that could easily be $1,100 to $1,200 that you've already spent to get to this job. So now you got the job, you're going to work. That's the transportation to and from. You're probably, buying lunch. You're going to orientation, that's transportation back and forth to that. You're buying lunch. Most jobs, you work 2 weeks in a hole. So working 2 weeks in a hole, you have to work a month before you get paid. So like I said, you've already had paid in advance the daycare 2 weeks. By a month, you've paid the daycare again the next 2 weeks. Transportation to and from lunch, whoever you said you're going to borrow the money from. By the time you finally get paid, you get your check, you see net versus gross. And I really feel like that's the opposite, because you feel gross once you see the net of your check. And then you're like, all these people you got to pay back, whoever you borrow from for the daycare, whoever you borrow from for the resume, clothes, whatever it was that you borrowed money for. That first check you got, it's already gone. And guess what? Daycare is going to be due again by the next time you get paid. So is it any wonder why so many people, millions of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck? Most people are one paycheck from being homeless, from not being able to take care of their needs, because it's a cycle that having a lot of people don't even realize, never even thought about. You work 2 weeks in a hole, which means you work a month before you get paid. So you're always trying to catch up. You're always trying to dig yourself out of that 2 week hole that you worked in. And it's like you can just never, ever seem to catch up. So this is why I say, no matter what you do, if you have a traditional 9 to 5, if you have a work from home job, I've had work from home jobs where they want specific software, or you're required to have a certain computer with a certain capacity. You may already have a computer and laptop at home, but if this company decides they're going to hire you, and their requirements is a certain, like there have been positions that I've seen. I had a MacBook Pro. They want you to have a desktop. So yeah, I already had the laptop, but if they want me to have this computer, then guess what? I have to now invest in getting that computer for my work at home job that I'm not supposed to pay for, right? So that's why I said I've worked from home in a legitimate work from home job, and they may require you to have a footstool. They may require you, like I said, to have a certain kind of computer, a certain kind of software, a certain kind of system. They may want you to have the latest Windows. They may want you to have the latest, whatever software it is. And sometimes they may provide it, oftentimes not. They may require you to have a certain kind of headset. A lot of times they're going to require you to have a landline phone. Who has landlines these days? They may require you to have a landline phone and two line phone lines, because they want you to have a landline phone and they want you to have a dedicated phone for fax, for a lot of these work at home jobs. So that's why I say, no matter what you do, even an internship, if you're doing an internship, you've never worked before, you don't have any other job, you're doing this internship because every job you're applying for says they want you to have experience, but how can you get experience if no one will give you any? So you decide you're going to take this internship, but yet in order for you to get to this internship, it's going to take money. And like I said, it may not be yours, it may be your parents, it may be a friend, maybe a spouse, whoever's it is. It's going to take money for you to get to and from. Sometimes, yes, they give you a stipend, but oftentimes that stipend is barely enough, it's not going to cover your commuting costs. It's not going to cover all, of you eating lunch and all of that. So no matter how you get money, it's going to take money to get money. And so, like I said, a lot of people are trying to dig themselves out of this 2 week hole. Well, That's because that's the system that we live in this society. And that's the only way people know. So whenever they're presented with an opportunity that they can earn far past anything they ever dreamed of, the minute they say, oh, it's only going to cost $50, they're hesitant because in their mind, I'm not supposed to pay for a job. But as you saw in my example, you're paying over probably $1,500 for a regular 9 to 5. And there are opportunities out here, like mine, that are less than $50 to start. But not only that, as a home-based business owner, all those little expenses we talked about, things you're already paying for right now, your rent or mortgage, utilities, your cell phone bill, your internet, mileage, so many different tax deductions, so many different expenses now become tax deductions if you decide to get your money as a home-based business owner. So as I said, that is an option, but I just wanted to, dispel that myth, before people say, oh, I shouldn't have to pay for a job. Yeah, we shouldn't have to do a lot of things. We shouldn't have to pay for things that were free. And technically, water is free. Electricity is free, but you're just paying for the service to have it delivered to you, so they say. But there's a lot of things that should be free, but unfortunately, this capitalistic society is just not. But if you're gonna, however you're gonna get your money, just know it is gonna take an investment, but the best investment you can ever make is in yourself. So if you'd like to know more about my opportunity and how it only costs less than $50 to get started, and it opens you up to so many tax savings, so many things that are deductible, that versus you going out and getting a job and spending all that money. And I'm not saying, quit your job or leave your job. Do this alongside your job, but it's going to cost a whole lot less than it does to go get your traditional 9 to 5. So check out my shirt. It says, how's your little pyramid scheme coming? And then it says, great. How's your little cubicle scheme going? How's it going? Still 10, 15, 20 years later, still trying to dig yourself out of that 2-week hole that you worked when you first got that job. I know there's just strategies that weren't taught to us, and many people believe that that is the norm, but that's what I'm here to dispel, those myths. I have my very first strategy that I'll teach you guys if you decide to join me on this journey. Will show you how you never have to worry about being broke ever again. So visit my website, www.ideclarethatwar.com, for more information. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.